No more time in today, the sun is fading away, and I'm left feeling cray-cray. I need to make a change, it's time to rearrange.
Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to talk about some bonus productivity hacks. So we got a long list here. We'll go through these fairly quickly. So the first thing that I want to share with you is the 80-20 analysis. So what 20% of the things that you're doing make 80% of the impact in your life? And this is something that I'm constantly thinking about, especially when things start piling up, and I'm going to ruthlessly cut away anything that's unimportant. If you want to learn more about this, maybe do a search for like Tim Ferriss. He's done some blog posts about this. He also talks about it in his book, The 4-Hour Work Week. Learn to delegate skillfully, define clear outcomes, how and when are you going to follow up, define clear ownership, delegate, automate, stop doing anything that's not highest and best use or totally in line with your priorities. Again, it's easy to find out. That's a quote I think I heard in a podcast by Seth Godin. If you want to learn how to delegate, do a little research. A couple of Google searches, read a couple of articles. It's easy to find out how to get good at something. Sometimes people resist because that means they might have to do something crazy like change some behaviors. Impact meetings. So I like to think about, are there people that I interact with on a regular basis who I tend to have lots of what I call got-a-minute meetings with? If there's somebody that I'm going to talk to 2 or 3 times over the course of a week on a random basis, maybe I can set up like a 15-minute huddle where we both know that we're going to get together and talk through stuff. And instead of just meeting randomly on an ad hoc basis that takes a lot of energy, create more predictable check-ins through huddles. Also want to make sure that I'm running good meetings. Another thing that you can easily do a little searching and learn how to get better at having really clear agendas, setting clear next steps, things like that. Also, no meetings, having a high barrier to entry. So I'm pretty hawkish about what meetings I'll take. Unless there's a clear purpose that's in line with my priorities, I will politely say no. And even if I get the old, hey, Scott, I'd like to introduce you through email to so-and-so, you guys should meet. You're both great people. I'll correspond with those folks and I'll say, hey, is there a specific reason that we ought to meet now? Because those types of meetings take a lot of energy, and I want to make sure that I'm using their time wisely and investing my time wisely. So pretty aggressive about what meetings I'll take. Also like to be really clear on how I do my emails. So I like to make sure that all my emails are high impact. One of the rules that I use is I only have one idea or a specific task or question or issue per email. And I make that subject line super clear in line with that particular topic that I want to communicate through the email. And if I get an email back or I get an email from somebody else where they're asking me about 3 or 4 things, oftentimes I'll respond to one of the topics at a time, and I'll chunk out the various things that they're packing into one email, or I'll pick up the phone and call them, or I'll set up a time to talk to them to get through that. Another hack is a low information diet. So, gosh, I think it's been maybe 3 or 4 years now. I just completely stopped watching the news, and especially political news. And I've found that I am just fine. So I don't watch any news. I don't watch any sort of live TV. And it's amazing how much time I've gotten back by doing that. I'm also a pretty light social media user as well. If it's serving an important need to communicate, or I'm staying in touch with close friends and things like that, that's great. but I'm pretty careful about how much time I let get absorbed in just kind of random social media behavior. There's lots of ways that social media actually adds productivity to my life, and there's various work groups and other specific topical groups and masterminds and things like that I'm involved with that leverage social media well. But I'm not one to do the kind of random social media stuff. Just a personal thing. Another hack is net time, so no extra time. So I like to use time like when I'm driving to listen to podcasts or audiobooks, or if I'm exercising or doing yard work. So anytime I can be learning while I'm doing something else, I can do that using net time or no extra time. Also like to really think about the value of a minute. So if I've got an extra 5 minutes, it's amazing how many emails I can get through, or do a little bit of processing in the getting things done system. I try to take advantage of those opportunities. Also, another hack, I became a morning person. I don't know, this is probably going on about 10 years ago. And I found that if I can trade 1 hour from, say, 11 p.m. to midnight for an hour in the morning from, say, like 5 to 6 a.m., it's a huge gain. I'm trading 1 hour, but I'm getting about 2 to 3 times productivity in that hour because I'm much more rested and much more energized and able to get a lot more stuff done with that extra hour in the morning. So I found out that being a morning person is not genetically predisposition. It's just a habit. Choice minimal. This is a concept. I think I heard this on a Tim Ferriss podcast. There's certain things that I just want to simplify. So I try to eat the same breakfast, eat the same lunch. If I'm having to make a choice, I'm thinking about buying a new car or something like that, I just try to limit the amount of choices that I offer myself. So I might limit it down to 2 to 3 options versus 5 or 6 or more options. It just takes less time. Speed reading, I've got a linked article in the next sheet that talks about how to learn how to speed read really fast, in terms of it doesn't take a lot of time to learn how to speed read, which is great. Another hack, there's this great app called TripIt. If you haven't found it yet, it's really great at consolidating all the travel itineraries. So if you've got a flight and a rental car and a hotel, you basically forward those confirmations to the app. It organizes all of them. It updates them automatically for gates and things like that. Check that out. Totally great. There's a @ folder shortcut in Outlook. So if you're using the Getting Things Done system, similar to the way I use it, I can put an @ and a, say, call in a subject line. It will automatically go to a folder that I've set up. And you can set up those rules in Outlook. Again, you could do a little searching and learn how to do that. How to say no. This is really important. So I've got this kind of in my pocket. So if I get a request to do something that is not really in line with my priorities, and look, it's hard to say no sometimes to folks. One of my go-tos is, I'm sorry, I'd love to, but to honor my existing commitments, I'm just going to have to say no. And I find that people respect that. On a personal request, one of the things that I do is I try not to leave any loose ends. So if like I'm invited to a party and I'm just kind of wiped out and I want to relax for the weekend, or maybe it's just not something I want to do for whatever reason, I might say, you know what, darn, I have a conflict Saturday night. If that changes, I'll let you know. And if you notice, what's cool about this is there's no loose end. It's not like I say, hey, you know what, let me think about it and I'll get back to you. When I do that, there's a loose end and I'm still thinking about it. I got to get back. What am I going to say? In this case, it's a definitive not now. And then Miracle Morning, check it out. Total game changer. Renewal is critical. So hope some of those help. Those are my hacks for the day. Thanks.
What am I grateful for? I think about